They say the worst thing that can happen to you in Lagos is to owe your landlord. But I tell you, that is a lie. The worst thing is when police enter your compound by mistake. That day, heaven and earth will meet in your backyard. Innocent people will start confessing sins they didn't commit. Even the goat tied behind the compound will start crying like a human being. And the real criminal? That one will be sipping cold Fanta, watching the drama like a Nollywood film. On that unforgettable night, one ordinary family compound in Surulere turned into a police station, a courtroom, and a mad comedy stage, all because of a single mistake. Welcome to Nightfall Tales by Wara, where ordinary stories turn into unforgettable journeys. Sit tight, because what you're about to hear will leave you laughing, gasping, and thinking all at once. It was a hot Tuesday evening in Surulere. Nipa had done their usual magic. Light went off just as Mama Nkechi was frying puff-puff in the front of the compound. Children were running about, their bodies shining with sweat, and the landlord's transistor radio was screaming Fuji music like it was competing with the mosquitoes buzzing around. Our compound was like every typical Lagos compound: one gate, one well, one landlord, and plenty wala. We had all kinds of people. Mama Nkechi, the puff-puff seller who knew everybody's secret. Baba Taju, the landlord who pretended to be deaf when it came to repairs but heard clearly when it was time for rent. Kunle, the jobless fine boy who dressed every day like he was going to the office but was only going to play draft under the tree. Aisha, the young tailor always sewing but never finishing anybody's cloth. And then there was me, Shinidu. The narrator of this madness, just a struggling student, minding my business but somehow always inside trouble. That evening, we were all outside, enjoying small breeze, when we heard the loud bang. Bang! Bang! On the gate. Open this gate. Police. Everywhere froze. Puff-puff fell into hot oil and splashed Mama Nkechi. Children stopped crying. Even the landlord's radio went silent like it had respect for uniform. Police? Kunle whispered, adjusting his shirt as if police came for fashion parade. Before anyone could answer, the gate flew open. 4 policemen marched in with torchlights and kiboko in their hands. Their leader, a tall man with red eyes, shouted, "Everybody outside. Nobody moves." Our compound scattered. People started running out of their rooms in singlets, wrappers, and even towel. Aisha almost came out naked if not for the neighbor who dragged her back inside to tie her cloth. We all gathered in the middle of the compound, shivering, confused. "Who among you is Skibo?" the officer asked, eyes scanning us like we were criminals. We all looked at one another. "Who be Skibo?" Silence. Then the police cocked his gun. "I say, who be Skibo?" That was the moment I knew that night would not end well. "Officer, we don't know any Skibo hero," Baba Taju said, raising his 2 hands as if he was surrendering rent money. The officer eyed him. "You dey lie. Intelligence reports say one notorious criminal dey hide inside this compound. Him name na Skibo. If una no produce am, all of una go follow us station." Everybody gasped. Mama Nkechi almost fainted, shouting, "Blood of Jesus!" Her puff-puff oil was still burning in the fire, but nobody dared move to quench it. Police started moving round, shining torch in people's faces. "Who you be?" one asked Kunle. "Me? I be Kunle. I no be Skibo. I dey find job since 2017, I swear." They looked at him suspiciously. "Nah, so criminals dey talk." They dragged him forward. Kunle started crying like baby. Then they turned to Aisha. "You, wetin be your name?" "Aisha, sir, tailor. I no even sabi Skibo." But the way she was trembling made her look guilty. Police started searching her sewing room, scattering cloth everywhere. They even opened her customer's Ghana must-go bag and pulled out Agbada. Meanwhile, the entire compound was whispering. "Who be this Skibo? Maybe na Mama Nkechi boyfriend. Or na Kunle alias. Abi na Baba Taju's secret son?" Tension was rising. Then something happened that nearly killed us with laughter. The goat tied at the backyard suddenly broke free and ran across the compound. Police jumped back, guns raised. One officer shouted, "He's escaping," and started chasing the goat. We laughed inside our hearts, but nobody dared show teeth, otherwise Kiboko would land on our backs. That night, innocence and guilt were mixed like beans and stone. And in the middle of the chaos, one shocking thing was about to be revealed. The police, frustrated, decided to search every single room. They started with Baba Taju's flat. We thought they would only see rent receipts, but instead they found a huge box of contraband gin hidden under his bed. The whole compound screamed. "Ah! Landlord, so now you be Skibo?" Baba Taju nearly collapsed. "It's not me, oh. I swear it's for my brother in the village. I no be criminal." But police didn't care. They wrote his name down. Next was Mama Nkechi's room. As they entered, the hot oil had burnt her puff-puff, filling the air with smoke. In her cupboard, they found a sack full of small sachets of dry gin. "Madam, you day run illegal bar," the officer barked. "No oh. Now only for my body I day drink sometimes," she stammered. Everybody burst into laughter, but police flogged us back to silence. By the time they reached Kunle's room, we all thought they would find nothing. But guess what? They opened his wardrobe and saw over 20 fake certificates. From engineering to medicine. "Kunle, you be doctor, engineer, accountant, pilot, everything at once?" Kunle knelt down, crying. "I just print them for motivation. I no use them work oh." Suspense thickened. One by one, everyone's secret came out. Even Aisha was caught with one married man's love letters hidden inside her sewing machine. The whole compound turned upside down. But the real shocker? As police were about to leave, the youngest tenant, little Bode, pointed at the well and said innocently, "Uncle Skibo dey hide inside there." We all turned. Police shone torch into the well. What they saw made every single person scream. The entire compound gathered around the well, sweating and shaking. Police shone their torch down, and for a second, we thought maybe Bode was just playing childish games. But then a pair of red eyes blinked back at us from the darkness. Blood of Jesus! Mama Nkechi screamed, rolling on the ground. The police cocked their guns. "Who be that inside well?" A rough voice answered from inside. "Nah, me. Skibo." Silence. Pure silence. You could hear mosquitoes clapping their wings. Then suddenly, one police officer shouted, "Come out before we fire." Instead of climbing out like a normal human being, Skibo threw something out of the well first, a live chicken, feathers flying everywhere. The chicken landed on Kunle's head, and he ran around screaming like he was being pursued by ghosts. The next thing we saw shocked us. Skibo climbed out, dripping wet, wearing nothing but boxers and chains around his neck like wrapper. He looked like a cross between a gangster and a masquerade. The compound women screamed and covered their eyes. But here's the twist, before police could grab him, Skibo raised his hands and shouted, "Wait! I am innocent. Now landlord send police to come catch me because I dey owe 2 years rent." Everybody gasped. All eyes turned to Baba Taju. He almost swallowed his own tongue. "Lie! Big lie!" Baba Taju shouted, shaking like generator with low fuel. "I no sabi this man before." But Skibo pointed straight at him. "Nah lie. This landlord dey run things with me before. Him dey collect share from my runs. Now because I no pay him call una come." The whole compound went mad. Tenants started shouting, "So our landlord not criminal. No wonder our water pump spoil since 2018. Police didn't know who to believe. And while they were confused, Skibo did the unthinkable. He grabbed the puff-buff Mama Nkechi left on fire, stuffed his mouth, and bolted straight out the gate. Police ran after him. But the twist? 2 of them slipped and fell inside the well. That night, laughter mixed with chaos. But this was only the beginning. The policemen that fell inside the well were shouting like frogs. "Help us, oh! Bring rope! Bring ladder!" But instead of rushing to help, Baba Taju said, "Now una go fetch water for us since una no gree repair borehole." The compound burst into laughter, but the policemen in the well were not finding it funny. Mama Nkechi, always dramatic, ran with a rope, but as she tried lowering it, her wrapper fell off. She stood half naked, shouting, "Blood of Jesus," while everybody scattered. One officer managed to climb out, soaked like fish. The other was still inside, crying. By the time they finally rescued him, his uniform was torn, his shoe gone, and his cap floating on water. Angry and embarrassed, the police turned their rage back on us. All of una day mad. If una no produce Skibo in 24 hours, this compound go turn police station. We begged, cried, promised to cooperate. Then they locked the gate with their own padlock and left. Yes. Our compound was now officially under police custody. That night, nobody slept. Kunle kept pacing like a lawyer rehearsing case. Aisha sat crying because her customers would kill her if she didn't finish their clothes. Baba Taju locked himself inside, pretending to pray but actually drinking his hidden gin. And me? I sat there thinking, if police could mistakenly lock us in, what other mistake could they make? The answer came sooner than I expected. The next morning, as the sun rose, Walla doubled. Police came back with full squad vans, more officers, even one sniffer dog. The dog sniffed everyone, then stopped at Kunle. "Nah him. This na Skibo," one officer shouted. Kunle fell on his knees, crying, "It's lie. I no be Skibo oh, na poverty I be." The dog barked louder. To prove his innocence, Kunle did something foolish. He pulled out one of his fake certificates and waved it in the air. "See? I be graduate. I no be criminal." Police grabbed it, read it, and burst into laughter. Doctor of International Astrophysics Engineering and Catering? The whole compound roared. Even the dog sneezed like it was laughing. Police bundled Kunle into their van. Aisha fainted on the spot, saying she couldn't lose her crush. Mama Nkechi poured water on her, but instead of waking her up, Aisha jumped up screaming, "I confess. I know Skibo." The whole place froze. Police turned to her. "Talk." Aisha, shaking, pointed at the landlord's room. "Na there him they hide money Skibo give am." Everybody shouted. Police broke into the landlord's room. They didn't find money, but they found something worse, a giant poster of him in police uniform from 1979. We all screamed. "Landlord! You be ex-police?" But before he could answer, Little Boat again shouted, "No. He be Skibo." The twist was getting hotter. Suspense was boiling. And the compound had just entered the real fire of madness. The moment the poster of Baba Taju in police uniform was raised up, the compound erupted. "Landlord! You mean you don't wear police uniform before? Now why you dey always shout, 'I will arrest you,' for tenants? So not true say old soldier never die?" Baba Taju's hands trembled. "It's not what you people think oh. That time I was only police for 1 week. They sacked me because I drink all the exhibit beer." The whole compound collapsed in laughter. Even police officers were holding their bellies. But Theroga wasn't laughing. He barked, "Old man, you day play us ABI? Where's Skibo day?" Before he could answer, Mama Nkechi jumped up, shouting, "I know the truth." We all turned. She pointed at her puff-puff tray dramatically. "Skibo day inside my puff-puff." Silence. Then everybody burst into uncontrollable laughter. Even the dog barked twice like it was mocking her. Mama Nkechi defended herself, "I mean, he day chop puff-puff too much. That's why police day find am." Police ignored her, but the compound people laughed till tears came out. At that moment, I knew this madness was just getting started. Frustrated, the police commander shouted, "Since una no one talk true, We go carry all of Una go station. Chaos. Tenants screamed. Children cried. Aisha started rolling on the ground, shouting, I can't survive in Kirikiri. Who go finish my customer's wedding gown? Police didn't care. They bundled all of us into vans. Imagine 20 tenants squeezed like sardine, with a goat tied on top of the vehicle bleeding mad like it was protesting human rights. As we were moving, Kunle, still handcuffed, saw one of his girlfriends by the roadside and shouted, Baby, na mistake. No be me. The whole van burst into laughter. Even police slapped his head. On the way, traffic held us down. Danfo drivers were peeping into the van. One shouted, Ah! Now the entire Surulere compound Dago station like excursion. People were laughing, pointing, taking pictures. We were trending before reaching station. Finally, when we arrived, the real twist happened. At the station, the DPO looked at us and shook his head. What is all this nonsense? Why you wanna bring entire compound here? This no be Skibo case. Skibo no de Surulere again. Intelligence say he don run go abadan. Silence. All of us turned to stare at the police squad that embarrassed us. Even their dog lowered its head in shame. The DPO waved his hand. Release them, Jair. And you tenants, carry your Waalago house. We all screamed with joy. But before leaving, Kunle used his wisdom to complicate things. He turned to the DPO and said, Sir, before we go, please arrest landlord. He hide rent money, he be ex-police, and he drink exhibit beer. The whole station burst into laughter. Police even clapped. Baba Taju chased Kunle round the station until one officer shouted, Una compound na film. If Nollywood shoot Una, go sell pass Lionheart. By the time we returned home, everybody was tired but still laughing. That day, our compound name changed, people now called it Compound 19. The police mistake lodge. And trust Lagos gossip, the story spread like wildfire. But unknown to us, Skibo was not done. He was planning his own return. And when he came back, the real madness would begin. 2 weeks after the police waala, our compound was almost back to normal. Almost. Mama Nkechi was still frying puff puff, but she now shouts I no be criminal puff puff seller o, before selling to customers. Kunle wore suit every day and introduced himself as ex-convict of police mistake. Aisha sewed clothes with speed, afraid police might come back and seize her sewing machine. Baba Taju was still hiding his gin under his bed, swearing that he had forgiven us but plotting revenge silently. Then one night, just as Nipa took light again, we heard a familiar cough outside the gate. KHRR, open gate. Our hearts froze. That cough sounded like Skibo. Before we could say jack, the gate creaked open by itself. A tall figure stepped in, dressed in flowing igbata, dark glasses, and gold chains. It was Skibo. But here's the madness, he didn't sneak in quietly. He walked boldly into the middle of the compound and announced, Ladies and gentlemen, I have returned. From now on, this compound belongs to me. Silence. Pure silence. Then Kunle shouted, Ah! Skibo don turn landlord. The compound exploded with laughter. Even in fear, Lagos tenants must joke. But Skibo wasn't smiling. He brought out a whistle, blew it, and suddenly, 5 strange men in red berets entered. Our compound had just turned into a military barracks. From that night, life changed. Skibo declared himself compound commander. He gave everyone new titles. Mama Nkechi became chief puff puff minister. Kunle was forced to be deputy criminal in training. Aisha was minister of needle and thread. And poor Baba Taju? Skibo made him ex-police without salary. The whole thing was madness. Every morning, Skibo would blow whistle at 5 a.m. All tenants had to gather in the compound for parade. Attention! At ease! Who never washed gutter today? He barked. If you failed inspection, he gave you punishment like frying puff-puff without oil or fetching water with basket. The funniest was Kunle's punishment. Skibo ordered him to kneel in front of the compound gate holding a signboard. "I am not Skibo. I am just jobless." People passing by were snapping pictures, laughing. Kunle almost cried blood. But the real suspense? Police were watching from outside, confused. They thought Skibo was running some secret gang. The tension was rising. And one night, it exploded. One evening, as Skibo sat on landlord's chair drinking gin like king, a car drove into the compound. A fine young woman stepped out, wearing heels that clicked on the ground like warning bells. Everybody gasped. It was Ngozi, the landlord's daughter who lived abroad. She dropped her bag, folded her arms, and asked in perfect British accent. "Excuse me, please. Who the hell is running my father's compound?" Skibo adjusted his igbata and said with pride, "Madam, I be the commander here. This na my territory now." Ngozi looked him up and down, then burst into laughter. "Commander of Puff Puff and Mosquito? You must be joking." The tenants almost died trying not to laugh. Kunle even bit his finger to stop himself. But Skibo's face hardened. "Woman, respect yourself. For here, I day rule." Ngozi snapped her fingers. Two hefty men jumped out of her car. These were not ordinary men, they were bouncers, real-life bodyguards. Within minutes, the whole compound turned into WWE. Skibo's Red Beret boys clashed with Ngozi's bodyguards. Chairs broke, buckets flew, puff-puff scattered on the floor. The funniest moment? The goat ran into the fight wearing Aisha's wrapper. Everybody screamed with laughter, even police watching outside couldn't hold it. When the dust settled, Skibo was flat on the ground, his igbata torn, his chains missing. Ngozi stepped on his chest and said, "From today, I am the new commander of this compound." The tenants screamed in joy. But deep down, we knew it wasn't over. Because Skibo never lost twice. The next morning, Ngozi gathered all tenants in the compound. She stood like a general, heels clicking on the cement floor, chewing gum loudly. From today, she announced, this compound must be run like London Estate. No more nonsense. We clapped like prisoners who just saw light. She began making rules. 1. No more fighting over bathroom. 2. NEPA bill must be paid on time. 3. Puff-puff sellers must stop frying during midnight prayers. Mama Nkechi shouted, "Ah! Rule 3 na oppression." Everyone laughed. Ngozi wasn't smiling. She pulled out a long list. And finally, rent must double. The compound went silent. We looked at one another like goats about to be slaughtered. Kunle whispered, "This one worse past Skibo." But nobody could challenge her. Even Baba Taju, her father, stood behind her nodding like lizard. Just when Ngozi thought she had everything under control, a strange letter slipped under the compound gate. It read, "This is not over. I, Skibo, will return tonight. Prepare." The letter smelled of gin and pepper soup. We screamed. Mama Nkechi fainted. Kunle ran to pack his fake certificates. Aisha started praying in tongues. Trouble was coming back. That night, rain poured like heaven wanted to wash Lagos away. The compound was dark, silent, and tense. Suddenly, boom! The gate kicked open. Skibo marched in with a loudspeaker and a bucket of sachet gin. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "welcome to my revenge party." Behind him came dancers, yes, dancers, wearing masquerade masks and spraying powder everywhere. The whole place turned into nightclub. Kunle couldn't resist, he started dancing shaku shaku with handcuffs still hanging from his pocket. Mama Nkechi joined, shaking her waist like generator. Even the goat danced zanku in the rain. Ngozi was furious. She came out in a raincoat and shouted, "Skibo, stop this madness." But Skibo only laughed. "Tonight, I show una pepper." Anybody way no dance, I go mark him criminal. So imagine tenants, old and young, dancing in the rain like arrested choir members. Even Baba Taju shook his waist, trying to save his reputation. Then the real twist dropped, police vans arrived again. But this time, they didn't come to arrest Skibo. They came with musical instruments. Yes, somehow Skibo had hired them as his band. The compound turned into carnival. But in the middle of the madness, Skibo whispered something to Ngozi that froze her smile. As the rain poured, Skibo leaned close to Ngozi and said, "Tell them the truth, or I will." Ngozi's eyes widened. "Shut up." But Skibo shouted so everyone could hear. "Tenants! Your Madam Commander is not who you think. Ask her what she was doing in London before she come back." We all gasped. Ngozi's gum fell from her mouth. She tried to walk away, but the tenants blocked her. Kunle shouted, "Confess, Madam Landlord. Were you Skibo's girlfriend before?" Ngozi hissed. "God forbid." But Skibo laughed wickedly. "No be only girlfriend. She dey use my money for London business before she dump me. She be original Madam Skibo." The compound screamed. Mama Nkechi rolled on the ground, shouting, "Chinik! We dey live with Skibo husband and wife." Aisha cried, "Ah! Who go rescue us now? Landlord na ex-police, daughter na ex-gangster's wife, goat na masquerade." The rain kept falling. Secrets were spilling like gutter water. And then, the police band suddenly stopped playing. Their Oga stepped forward and said, "If una no settle this wala, we go carry this whole compound straight to Aso Rock." The tenants screamed. Lagos had never seen a compound like ours before. And this was just the middle of the storm. The compound was still buzzing with shock. Skibo pointing at Ngozi, Ngozi denying, police threatening to relocate us like refugees. But then, in the middle of the chaos, something strange happened. Kunle knelt down in the rain and proposed to Aisha. Yes. Right there, in the madness. He pulled out a plastic ring from his pocket, dripping with rainwater. "Aisha, marry me before police carry me to Abuja. Let me be your husband, even if na in handcuff." The compound screamed. Some laughed till they fell. Even the goat bleated in support. Aisha covered her face. "Kunle, you dey craze? But the truth?" She was blushing. Police officers clapped, shouting, "Say yes! Say yes!" And in the shock of everyone, Aisha said, "Yes." Kunle jumped up, hugging her like he just won a Visa lottery. Mama Nkechi shouted, "Blood of Jesus, engagement inside compound of criminals." For one moment, laughter and joy filled the compound. But Skibo's face turned dark. He looked at Ngozi and hissed, "Love day sweet them. But your own love story no go end well." The suspense was back. The rain finally stopped. Skibo and Ngozi stood face to face like two lions. Tenants watched, holding their breath. But just as Skibo was about to drop another bombshell, Baba Taju staggered forward, holding a bottle of gin. "My fellow tenants," he slurred, "forget all this wala. Make we drink. Peace go come." We all shouted, "Landlord, sit down. You don't drink too much." But Baba Taju ignored us. He raised the bottle and said, "I dey toast to peace." He took a big gulp, then suddenly froze. His eyes rolled. He dropped the bottle and fell flat on the ground. "Jesus!" Mama Nkechi screamed. "Landlord don die?" Kunle shouted. The whole compound scattered. Some tenants cried, some laughed nervously, others shouted, "Who go refund our rent?" Police rushed forward to check. After a tense moment, their Oga declared, "Relax. He no die. Na ordinary drunken faint." Everyone sighed in relief. But Skibo shook his head. "You see? This compound cursed. And the curse get owner." He pointed straight at Ngozi again. That night, police refused to leave. They said, "We no fit handle una wala. Let us do court right here." So imagine a full police court set up in the middle of our compound. Benches, torchlights, even whistle as gavel. Case 1, Kunle vs. Joblessness. Verdict, guilty. Punishment, marry Aisha immediately. The whole compound cheered. Case 2, Mama Nkechi vs. illegal puff puff gin. Verdict, guilty. Punishment, fry puff puff for police free of charge for 2 weeks. She fainted on the spot. Case 3, Baba Taju vs. Exhibit Gin. Verdict, guilty. Punishment, no more drinking for 6 months. He cried like baby. Finally, Case 4, Ngozi vs. Skibo. Skibo shouted, "She be my ex. She thief my money. She no fit rule this compound." Ngozi shouted back, "He be criminal. He ruined my life. I no fit marry am again." Silence. The whole compound leaned forward. Police Oga rubbed his chin. Only one way to solve this. "What way, sir?" we all asked. The officer pointed at both of them and said, "Skibo and Ngozi must marry each other tomorrow. That is the judgment." The compound exploded in noise. Some screamed. Some laughed till tears fell. Kunle fainted this time. Ngozi shouted, "God forbid." Skibo shouted, "Over my dead body." But the police only banged whistle, case closed. The next morning, our compound looked like a war zone turned wedding ground. Police decorated the place with yellow tape as ribbon. Nipa wire was borrowed to tie balloons. The goat wore lace wrapper as chief bridesmaid. Mama Nkechi was frying puff puff for the police choir. Kunle and Aisha were dancing, showing off their engagement like celebrities. But at the center of it all stood Ngozi in borrowed Iro and Buba and Skibo in oversized suit with broken zip. Both of them were boiling with anger. "I no go marry this man." Ngozi shouted. "I no go marry this woman." Skibo shouted. But Police Oga raised whistle like pastor's bell, "By the power vested in me by Nigeria Police Force, you are now husband and wife." The tenants clapped, laughing till their stomachs hurt. Then, just as the goat bleated Mimi like it was saying "I object," a loud siren blasted outside the compound. Another police truck arrived, real detectives. They marched in, confused to see wedding going on. "What nonsense is this?" Our police band quickly hid their drums and stood at attention. The detective in charge looked at Skibo, looked at Ngozi, then shouted, "Arrest them both. They are wanted criminals in 3 states." Gasps filled the air. Tenants scattered like rats. Mama Nkechi dropped puff puff pan. Kunle fainted for the 2nd time that week. Ngozi and Skibo were dragged into the van, still shouting at each other. "You ruined my life. You ruined my destiny." And just like that, the forced wedding ended inside police van. The compound was silent that night. For the first time, no gossip, no shouting, no frying oil. Only the echo of what happened. The Real police explained everything. Skibo had been running online scams with Ngozi years ago. She left him and tried to live straight, but her past caught up. That was why the first police team mistakenly stormed our compound. They had tracked Skibo to the area. Baba Taju sat quietly, his gin finally finished. He muttered, "So not true, while I get long leg." Kunle and Aisha decided to fix their lives. Kunle swore he would hustle clean, no shortcuts. Aisha said she would support him, even if it meant starting from Puff Puff stand. Mama Nkechi cried, "I no go fry Puff Puff for free again in my life." But secretly, she smiled, because for once, she saw that greed and shortcuts always end in disgrace. As for the goat, it chewed Skibo's abandoned shoe in peace. The police vans left, carrying Skibo and Ngozi away. The compound slowly returned to normal. But none of us would ever forget the day police entered our compound by mistake and changed our lives forever. Life has a way of exposing secrets at the most unexpected time. No matter how long you hide, truth truth will knock at your door one day, sometimes with police siren. And above all, don't live fake life. Don't chase easy money. Don't let greed blind you. And if police mistakenly enter your compound, just pray they are not looking for you.